Welcome to Like, Love, Share by Babblebox, the show where marketers and creators go behind the post to unpack what actually drives attention, trust, and impact on social. We spotlight smart growth hacks, breakout campaigns, and real-world influencer case studies from emerging brands to cultural moments you might have missed. Whether you're building a brand, growing a platform, or shaping what's next in influencer marketing, Like, Love, Share is your source for ideas worth spreading. If you care about reach, relevance, and results, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hi, everyone. I am here today with Kristin and Marcus from Drive Smart. Please, Kristin and Marcus, introduce yourselves. And Kristin, you go first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kristin Pettway. I'm Executive Director of Drive Smart Virginia, and I have been with the organization for about 17 years.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know.
And Marcus?
Hi, everyone. I'm Marcus Henderson, Program Manager at Drive Smart Virginia. I've been with the company for about 2 years now.
Awesome. So can you tell us, Kristin, a little bit more about Drive Smart and what it is and people don't know?
Sure, yeah. Or Drive Smart Virginia is a C3 nonprofit, and we mostly serve the state of Virginia. We've been around for over 30 years now, and we just recently moved into Maryland as well. So we're becoming a little more regional, which is exciting. And our mission is to make the roads safer for everyone who travels on them. And we do that mostly through education and awareness programs.
Amazing work. And so I guess my question to you, Marcus, would be, we see the shifts with social media. Do you think, messaging has shifted with the youth because of what's going on?
Somewhat, yes. I don't think that it's like less effective or anything like that. Everyone knows that it's us that needs the help for the most part. Men who are between 18 and 35, and bringing in individuals who are, the moms, the wives, the girlfriends, the children, who are going to be pushing that message towards people like myself to continue to stay safe out there on the roads is what we originally started the campaign, influencer campaign for, to make sure, because sometimes it's just not the message per se, but sometimes it's the messenger, and having someone who genuinely cares about you to come back home and be there safely.
I know for me, I literally once got out of the car with my brother and said, I am not continuing to drive with you if you don't put your seatbelt on. And I said, I'm getting out of this car. So yeah, and then he does now, I think. At least with me, he does. So I guess the question that I have is how long were you thinking about influencer creator marketing? What made you say, we need to do this? Like, when did you shift to that, and why and how?
That's sure it's a difficult conversation you have with your brother. Maybe not because it's your brother, but a lot of us, that's a difficult conversation to have, right? You're the passenger of a vehicle and you're not happy with how the driver's behavior, and that's an awkward conversation to have with someone close to you. So I know I've been in that position myself. So what really drove the conversation for getting into the influencer space was focus groups, believe it or not. So our Virginia DMV Highway Safety Office held focus groups with the 18 to 34-year-old males that Marcus was saying are the more risky drivers. And they asked them, what kind of messaging or what kind of platforms can we reach you on to change your behavior? And they're like, we're not going to listen to the government. We're not going to even listen to celebrities. They were like, we don't really care what they have to say, and they're not going to change our driving behavior, but who will be their loved ones. So like Marcus said, their wives, their girlfriends, their children, the people who they love and they're closest to. If they ask them to drive safer, to buckle up, to stop speeding, those kinds of things, that would actually make an impact. And so we kind of took that and said, okay, well then we can't just keep pushing out messaging on our platforms. We can't just keep pushing messaging out and saying buckle up, because that's not moving the needle. And so we talked about like, well, how can we talk to these wives and mothers and kids and the families and ask them to have these difficult conversations? Because it seems like an easy conversation, but it can be an awkward conversation. That's when we decided, I think I saw you, Sherry, on some sort of a webinar or something. And I was like, yes, this is it. We need to have influencers talk to these wives and mothers and girlfriends and say, like, let's have this conversation. Do you know someone in your life who isn't regularly buckling up? Well, why aren't you talking to them about that? Let's make that a part of the conversation. Let's think about that. Let's put that out there into the world and say, think about this. These are the people you love. You want them to come home safely. You need to say something. And so that's kind of the start of this.
That is amazing. If I lived in state, I could have done it for my brother.
There you go.
So I know, because we do a lot with highly regulated industries. So when it comes to assuming everyone has to be in state, but what are some of the things that you look for, both, in terms of like audience fit, but also regulation wise when you have to select or identify creators?
I'm definitely looking for the reach, geography, credibility, and reliability. All of the above for those. We are allocating Virginia grant funds to these campaigns. So geography is super important. It's definitely essential. We're looking for places that sometimes are highly populated and then sometimes that are rural as well, just to get the message out there to both sides because everybody in Virginia, well, of course, Virginia has a different landscape a little bit everywhere. Sometimes it's city, and then you have places where, you have a couple stoplights, like where I'm from. And reach is important, but you don't have to be a super influencer. Having a huge following is good, but we are looking for engagement definitely from your audience. People watch everything, right? But if they don't like you, then, they just watched it. And it's not as influential. Credibility, having someone who definitely like wears their seatbelt, is used to not recording and driving, and some of their like Instagram posts that they're posting. I see a lot of different on TikTok. You'll see
Creators.
New mounting posts for your window or for your sunroof and things like that. They're nice if the car is stagnant, but if you're driving around and you can see everything moving, and it's just really not the best place to have it and be recording.
It's unsafe, and we're all about safety.
It's not safe. And just like having alignment for the most part and making things natural when it comes to the viewers. If things are like really commercialized, it just kind of makes it bad and not as natural. An old manager used to tell me, "Hey, Marcus, when you pick up the phone, people can tell if you're smiling or not."
Oh, that's amazing advice.
And it's the same thing with the videos. If you are recording and it just doesn't seem as natural, people can tell that it's for an ad and it's not, you don't genuinely care about the message. So definitely being able to make things relatable, being in alignment with safety regulations that are just through Drive Smart and just natural for people to just stay safe on the roads. Geography and reach are all important.
So there's a lot, right? Because there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
And so obviously, like, I guess the question is, how do you identify what's good content? Like, is it playful? Is it emotional? Like, what do you think resonates most?
Yeah, what we have found, and we've only done a couple of these campaigns, so we're still learning, and we definitely rely on Sherry, you and your team. But I think what we've found is what Marcus said. If it's feeling like a natural, seamless post that an influencer would normally do, and they've somehow creeped in and talked about, our message and our seatbelt safety and having a conversation with a loved one, it feels natural. People are going to take that in and not think, oh, it's just another sponsored ad, right? Let's click through that. Let's swipe through that. So for us, if an influencer is able to make it look like just a normal post and somehow have incorporated our message into that, that's a win. That's a major win. We don't like to create a script or anything like that. There's some touch points that we're going to say, hey, make sure you include this. But otherwise, how can you incorporate this without it feeling like it's a preachy, message? You can't be too playful with safety because it's not a funny thing, right? It's a serious thing, but you can have some fun with it. And like, for instance, I can tell you one of the ones that I remember the most is we have like a family influencer. She does road trips, or I think she just does vacation trips with families. And she was doing a regular post. It was just a regular post that she would normally do. And she was like, I partner with Drive Smart to talk about that we're going to make sure we're all buckled up before we even start our trip to the, so-and-so, wherever she was going. You know what I mean? And I just thought that was so clever. Like it sneaked by me. I caught it. But, the message was there. She made her point, but it didn't feel like, oh, Drive Smart is sponsoring this ad and telling me to tell you to, buckle up and look around and see who in your vehicle is buckled up. She kind of just seamlessly fitted in there, and it just felt like the most natural message for her. So I loved that. And many of the influencers we work with have been able to figure that out. Like we had an RV one that we worked with last time. She, we just said, make it feel like one of your RV tips.
RV seatbelts even work like in the front, but when you're in the back, you have to, I don't even know.
I'm not an RVer, but they know what they're doing. Right. So yeah, for us, it's just about seamlessly incorporating the message so that it doesn't feel preachy. and it just feels like what they would normally be talking about.
And I guess my question is with that, like, is there anything that stood out or surprised you most about working with influencers? Good, bad, either.
Just like Kristen was saying, all the influencers that we work with, their content wasn't generally based around traffic safety or driver safety. So seeing their ideas just come to life from involving their families and pushing that creative meter while still staying in their niche of their content was pretty cool to see for me.
I think, like I always say, and I love Martha Stewart, but the amazing talent that is out there, like if, there's like a trillion Martha Stewarts, like it's unbelievable how creative some, I mean, and I think sometimes influencers get a bad rap, but when people just have to take a step back and say, like, look at the amount of work these people are doing, it's really inspiring.
Yeah, it is. It's the little bit that we gave them, and then they just took it and ran with it. And I loved one of the things that surprised me was I loved how everybody had their own little take on it. You know what I mean? Everybody kind of made it their own, and nothing felt the same. Like I think we worked with 10 influencers on one campaign, and I don't feel like any of them felt
Right.
anywhere near the same as the other, you know? And that surprised me because I thought it was going to feel a little bit more like a PSA typical, and everyone would kind of say the same thing, but really and truly everyone was unique, and I loved that.
Yeah. I'm going to throw one out there that just kind of is curious to me. Like, do you see a lot of your peers doing influencer, or what would you say? Because we do a lot of government work. And when they first start to like, we're scared, we don't know. And then we should have been doing this. Like, you want to like talk a little bit about like, for government or nonprofits focusing on government or PSAs, like what the hesitation is, or are people doing it?
I think the main concern, and one of our main concerns, and one of the reasons why we reached out to you and are working with you, is the vetting process, and making sure that you're working with influencers that aligned with your message and your brand. And as Marcus mentioned earlier, I mean, you send us a list and we go through them and we make sure that they're, not posting things that are going to show that they're like a partier and they're drinking and possibly
Oh my
driving.
God.
And they have, posts where they're not wearing their seatbelt, but they're behind the wheel, and they have posts where they're talking while they're driving and they're posting and live streaming, and that's not going to align with what we're doing. So we do, have to do our due diligence. And I think, too political or anything like that, then there's,
Especially now.
yeah, it's very sensitive, the world we live in now. And I think there's a concern, especially from a lot of the funding we get is government funding. So we're having to, make sure that we're easing their concerns about here's just, a person, and showing them they can be a great platform and a great advocate for what we're talking about. And I just think there's a hesitation just because you are taking a little bit of a risk by aligning with someone, that doesn't have any traffic safety background or whatnot. But I do think that we're getting more, especially now that we're talking about it and I'm sharing the stories of how we've had successes. I've been hearing more and more from people who are interested and want to learn more. Like recently, we had the call with the Highway Safety Office in DC, and they're interested in getting into it. And I think people are still, if they're getting their feet wet in it, a lot of times they're working with like professional athletes or, colleges and their athletes or things like that, and still kind of in that like celebrity or professional athlete space. But what I'm trying to talk to people about is like that regional reach, like this is a mom who, yeah, who's following a family account and is, looking to see what she's posting every day. And what she says may resonate more than, your local professional athlete too. It's just more relatable because it's someone that you're following because you relate to them, and you feel like, what they're doing and they're going through is similar to your life and what your needs are. So I think it's growing in interest, and I hope that people are seeing that. And again, like Marcus said, for us especially, we're not, we're a small organization. We have a statewide reach, so getting to work with some of those like micro and nano influencers and not going to the bigger ones, it's also more like attainable budget wise than people think. So I think there's also a concern that people are like, I can't afford that. And I'm here to tell you, you can, so as long as you're not trying to, reach millions and millions and millions, people with, 2 million followers, you're okay with reaching someone with maybe 20,000 or 100,000, sometimes that reach is more impactful.
100 adds up to 1 million.
And just the reach isn't as important as the impact, right? So if you have 2 million followers, but you're your impact, your engagement, your comments, all that aren't there, and people won't take what you say to heart as much, but maybe someone very local who everyone in the town knows.
I see it even in my town. Like if it's a local person, I'm like, oh, I need to go try that. Or, so it does work at the local level in a different way.
Exactly. So I think that's a message that really could help getting out a little bit more.
And I know from us, like I will say, so there are the platforms, but our team, that's why we designed our company this way. They are looking through every single piece of content to make sure these people are brand safe, not just meeting your criteria. Like we know we have to have people within state and proof of that, but everything else. And now the added layer that we've built in the last year is the AI. So AI then goes in and looks and says, are there any flags? Can you check all of their accounts? Because we might be doing this just on Instagram and their TikTok account has stuff that no one ever looked at because this isn't a TikTok campaign. So we're looking at everything.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah, that must be a helpful tool to have that AI at your service.
Oh yeah, it's been game changing. But again, I don't think you could just rely on AI. You know what I mean? Like there has to be the human element, just like you can't just rely on a platform.
Yeah, you have to do your due diligence. And I would highly recommend anybody who does approach me, I always say, it is too daunting to think about taking this on without a third party like a Babbel or a marketing firm or something to help you. I mean, honestly, we would not have had any success without you all. It's just too, whether you're new to the space or not, I just think you guys, the vetting process and your knowledge and how to really set us up for success. Yeah, it just wipes away a lot of the challenges that we were concerned about. So
Thank you. So where do you see your activations with influencers going?
what do you think, Marcus?
I think just continuing the word just needs to continue to be spread. There's as long as there's a seatbelt issue and someone's losing their life for it, we're here to continue to spread the word.
Thank you. Thank you for all. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would love to see us spread it past. Right now, we're just really doing the seatbelt message with influencers, but we've got a lot of other problems that we got to tackle on traffic safety, distracted driving, pedestrians are dying. So I could see us expanding the messaging to reach beyond just the seatbelt message.
Yeah. Thank you for all the work that you're doing and helping keep Americans safe. It's amazing. I'm going to end with my final question, which sometimes puzzles people, offends people. You could answer it. You could say I pass, but you could each name an influencer you love to follow, but hate to admit that you do.
That's fun. I guess I would have to say I follow some like Swiftie accounts. I love Taylor Swift. So I'll follow Swiftie accounts that go down the rabbit hole of all the insights into her songs and her lyrics. I do that sometimes.
And Marcus?
Probably some of the streamers that the kids are watching today. Some of their content is kind of like childish or like narcissistic, but some of it's genuinely hilarious and it gives me a good laugh every now and then.
Yeah. Right now I've been obsessed with Punch the Monkey account. So I'm in
Punch, yes.
And then there's this
It's
dog.
so sad.
Have you seen this dog?
I saw the one where they were doing, I think it was like the leader dog, and then like everybody else was like around him. They were like picking on him or something like that. But
It's crazy.
But the Punch the Monkey, yeah, I so sad.
I literally was like looking at flights to Japan. But we're like, we're not going with you. You're going by yourself. I'm like, "Oh, I need to go save the monkey." So, well, thank you both. Thank you for taking the time. We love collaborating with you. We're always here to help. How could everyone find you?
Thanks, Sherry. We're at drivesmartva.org or in Maryland, drivesmartmd.org.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.